Welcome to Bob's Radio Cafeteria. You can find me Facebook.com/Bobby Radio Cafeteria, also YouTube.com/TheClarences, and on Ralph Tycho's Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, where you can find my friend Fred's Durfcast. And today, my guest is the one, the only Tod Howarth. Tod, are you there?
I am here. Are we Bob or are we Robert? What do you want to be called?
You can call me wherever you want. How about Bob? Whatever.
Well, Bob sounds good. Yes, I am here. I am ready to go.
Well, before we start, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the web?
I'm sorry, it's coughing. What'd you say?
Oh, no, where they can find you on the web.
Well, I've got, 4x8, we have our site. We have a website. We also have a Facebook site. And you can also find my personal site, todhowarth.com, which is still actually under construction. So there's a couple different places to find us, but primarily on Facebook and 4x8 Facebook.
Well, let's talk about 4x8. Great band. Before let's give a shout-out to a friend of ours, a bandmate of yours, the great John Regan. Hello,
Johnny Regan,
great
yes.
Guy.
He's busy doing a bunch of stuff right now. It seems like every time we get done playing or doing a gig, we all have these things we got to scatter to do. So, yeah, he's keeping his plate full as well.
He's also been a many-time guest of Bob's Radio Cafeteria, so he's a friend of the show, and now you are a friend of the show.
Of course.
So what's the status of 4x8? What's going on? Tell us all the scoop.
Well, excuse me. I'll be coughing a little bit here. I'm just coming off a little slight cold here. Of course, we released Relentless, the CD Relentless, in June this last year, and got some headway on that. Did some shows. Then we had to kind of regroup and do a little bit of shuffling around with booking and management, which we're kind of in the transitional period, at the end of the transitional period at this point. Schedule conflicts didn't help us out as far as playing a lot. Also, I think that we didn't get to play as much as we wanted to because a lot of shows were already booked. So we did as much as we could. And then we just did the Rock Carnival, I guess the food truck event in New Jersey.
Cool.
A lot of fun, a lot of bands, a three-day ordeal. Fortunately, some of the bands got raided on Friday and Saturday. We played Sunday. And it went pretty well. I was, we were happy to be there and happy to do it. Rob and Pat and John and I all hunkered down for a few days before and refreshed the set that we're going to play. And now we've got some videos in the can that we have done that are going to be released. I guess I'm not even sure how strategically it's going to be done, but we're winding down, of course, towards Christmas now with Thanksgiving and Halloween. Actually, we're kind of far away from Christmas, but things kind of slow down a little bit. We may end up doing a show here or there, but I think we'll probably be doing a lot of kickstarting into the new year. At the same time we're doing that, Pat and I are also starting to work and write on more songs for the hopeful next CD, which...
cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're still pushing and promoting Relentless as we will into next year, but we'll be looking forward to doing some new tunes and hopefully get something going by the first trimester part of next year.
Oh, that sounds great. Now, and one thing I was always curious about is it must be kind of one of the difficulties it must be with the bands, because you guys are all on different sides of the coast. How do you guys deal with that? Because, I mean, you're in San Diego. I know John is on the East Coast.
Yeah,
I don't know where Rob and Pat are.
Well, John and Pat live very close to each other, and Rob is not that far away from them. So they're all relatively in the same area, upstate New York, where, of course, I'm down here in San Diego in California. So it does make it difficult as far as just getting together and slamming some things out, some new tunes and ideas, and even rehearsals for that matter. That is, indirectly my fault because I'm way over here. So what we do is when we do rehearsals, we do some self-rehearsals, and then we get together and brush up and go over the arrangements and the endings and whatnot, and get that done. It'd be, of course, ideally it'd be a lot better if I was close by or we were all together in the same area so we could get together. But even then, with everybody's schedule, John's got his schedule, Pat's got a schedule, and Rob's got his business, and which is a very hectic schedule as well. So I'm not really sure we'll be able to do much more than we have done with me being way out here in San Diego.
And let's give credit to the two other band members. Of course, we mentioned John Regan. We got Pat Gasparini, right? I pronounced that correct. And Rob Affuso, right? I'm pronouncing that right.
Right.
Affuso, yes. From Skid Row, and Pat, of course, has had a nice career as himself. I want to go back now. I like to always find out how band members with Bob's Radio Cafeteria. I always like to find out how musicians, how they started out. Like, how did you get into music? What was the beginnings of your career? How did you get into music?
Well, I started out genetically, of course. My mother and my maternal grandfather were singers, not professionally. Oh, wow. They just sang and played a little piano, I think, but sang as a part-time thing. And so it was there. Of course, when I was younger, I didn't really know it, but when I ended up staying with my father a lot, in my 5, 6 years old, whatever, he used to listen to music all the time. And I'd listen to it, and I was fascinated by all the orchestration and the melodies and a lot of the instrumental and even some of the tunes back in the day. He was not really an Elvis fan. He was more into, big band type sounds. And so consequently, I listened to a lot of arrangements and ascending melody lines and bass lines and a lot of dynamics in the music. So when the Beatles came around, I really started paying attention because, they had such a tremendous way of writing songs and putting them down on tape back then. Plus, the first time I saw them, they were, a bunch of girls screaming on TV. I said, yeah, even though I was like 6 or 7 years old, but yeah, that's what I want to do. So that's where it started.
Gotcha. The Beatles seems to be the beginning point of a lot of band people that I speak to. It seems to be Beatles.
That was the beginning of the end for many. Yes.
So from there you got into, what was it, keyboards or was it guitar that you started on?
Well, I actually started singing. I started singing everything I could because I heard listening to all the melody lines and all the harmonies and where they were going, and just the construction of it was fascinating to me, even at a young age. I didn't have an instrument at the time until my father got married to my stepmom in 1966, where she had an upright piano, of which she still has to this day in the living room.
Oh, wow.
And so I started plinking around on it, and she told my dad, she goes, your son has talent. We got to give him some lessons. Plus, she heard me singing, and she used to love me, scream at the top of my voice or whatever they were listening to, imitating the vocalist. So I started taking piano lessons. I enjoyed it to a degree, but I always wanted to play what I heard, and that didn't always translate to the methodical way of fingering or chords, because I always heard the notes at different spreads or different inflections of chords as opposed to what I was being taught. I was like, well, that doesn't sound like the chord I'm hearing, because there was bass notes, and there was harmonies, and this and that. I always right. So I didn't want to take lessons. I thought, I just want to play what I want to play. I'll figure it out on my own. I've got 10 fingers and a couple feet, and I'll figure it out. So that's how that started, and it actually, through the years, has translated to my guitar playing, which is another thing altogether. But I like piano because I could do the chordal structure in the right hand and then have the moving bass lines down below, and then I could also sing the special harmonies and melodies.
And what do you feel more comfortable? Oh, so wait. I'm going ahead of myself. So when did the guitar come in?
Well, when I started playing with some friends, we had piano and drums, and then the drummer left his drum set over at my house, my parents' house, and I started banging on the drums just because, all right, something's even louder than the piano. So I started beating the hell out of those, badly, I might add. I started picking that up. And then we had, oddly enough, I wanted to play guitar, and one of my dad's employees in one of his companies had a double-neck 12-string guitar and a bass. And I think the bass didn't have any strings, but he lent it to me for a while to mess around with. And the 12-string only had 6 strings. So I started thinking, yeah, it was really strange. I guess the guy wasn't really a prominent player, and I guess he couldn't afford all the strings on it, so he let me.
A double neck guitar that's like a 12-string and a bass, but there's no strings on the bass part, and the 12-string only had 6 strings. Got it.
I think that's how I remember it. And so I grabbed it, and I plunked around, and somewhere along the line, somebody taught me how to tune. I think it was him. He taught me how to tune the notes, and so I tuned it off the piano. Then eventually, after borrowing a couple guitars, my father had bought me a Gibson SG copy called an El Degas, which my son still has. Right now it's a brown one. It looked just like, Black Sabbath and Tommy Iommi's SG. And that's why I wanted it, because it was so cool. Back then I was like in the heavy stuff. In Sabbath. So the guitar playing came after first was piano, then banging around the drums, and then guitar playing. And I also messed around with the bass once I got some bass strings on that thing, which I love bass still to this day. I have several of them. But it's just anything I get my hands on, it's kind of fun to learn how to plunk around on it.
So then you were playing in and out of bands, basically through the 70s. You were playing in and out of bands. Uh-huh. And so how did it lead? So I'm leading myself, trying to lead into 707. How did that come about?
Well, through the years, I played with a bunch of cover bands and some guys that were incredibly talented, including 2 that went on to do pretty good, and one's doing very well. My cousin, Jason Sheff, he's the lead singer, bass player for the band Chicago.
Oh, wow.
He was a talented little shit back. Can I say that?
Yeah.
He's a talented little shit because he was 3 or 4 years younger than I was back then. And we used to have to pick him up because he was only 15, but he could play bass. And he was singing that he was just learning how to sing. And, he sang real well, but God, he was talented. He could play drums and keyboards and bass. And so we were playing in all these band called Cocoa Blue in San Diego. And then finally that band kind of went defunct, and I started playing with some other bands. And then about 1979, I decided to move to L.A. and really try. So I went to L.A. and with another keyboard player friend of mine, and he didn't last long. He didn't want to come back here and consequently do some other stuff. So actually, I take it back. It was a guitar player friend of mine came up, and we stayed up there and formed an original band. And we ended up doing some demos, and some stuff was really cool. Some of it went underground, but, of course, we had no financing, and it fell through. So I
what was the band's name?
It was called Mayblix.
Wow.
Mayblix, yeah. And the reason why was May that we moved up there, and we lived on Blix Street, B-L-I-X. Nobody knows that.
Oh, cool.
That's how that worked out. But then after that band died, I ended up playing with a lot of local bands at the newspapers, and I ended up playing with some guys that were in a band that were out of Chicago called Valentino. And in that band were 2 guys, 2 bass players, a guitar player and bass player, that went on to replace Tom Peterson of Cheap Trick.
Oh, Pete Comita
and John Brandt.
John Brandt, wow, yep. How crazy, in one band.
Yep.
Wow.
And I learned, I came across a bunch of other guys that working with that project of producing, and my name got out there as to this kid, he's young, he's new, he's eager, he can play guitar and sing and keyboards. And so, I'm not a virtuoso keyboard player by any stretch, nor am I on guitar. My strong suit is songwriting and melodies and singing. But it got out that I was kind of like an all-around player that could do a lot of things, and that's how I got sort of known in L.A.
What was the name of the band that Pete Comita and John Brandt were in?
It was called Valentino. Well, actually, there was two.
That's right.
There was Valentino, and I think I played in a brief offshoot of that band, and then there was also the Mickey Free band. Mickey Free was a guitar player, singer who went on to play with Crown of Thorns and some other band. He did pretty well for a while, but he also had John Brandt and Mickey Free in that project as well. I mean, John Brandt and Pete Comey in that band as well.
Okay.
Then there was there's so many different. I ended up playing very shortly with Rudy Sarzo and Frankie Bonelli.
Wow.
From Angel in a offshoot of this project. And those guys hated me. Actually, Rudy didn't hate me, but Frankie Bonelli couldn't stand me.
This is like pre-Quiet Riot, kind of like before they.
Well, this was 1981.
So yeah, pre-Quiet Riot, and so Rudy's like just before Ozzy Osbourne or just as.
Right. Rudy was a great guy. He was a real nice guy.
Yeah.
Frankie didn't care for me much, but because I think it was because I was new, I was young, I had a mustache, and shave your mustache. So I wasn't going over too well there, and I had tons of keyboard equipment, and I just wasn't cool because I didn't have young hot babes, that I was living with, pushing off their paychecks.
Yeah. So 707.
707. Well, what happened is I've been playing with the Mickey Free and John Brandt and Pete Comita. I'm trying to remember when either one of those guys left. But
is this Mickey Free? Not Mickey Free that played with
Shalimar.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Right.
Wow. Yeah. I just now remembered that. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
What happened is I was playing with Mickey, and we were going to audition. His manager got us a gig to play with, opening up for Diana Ross in L.A. And Diana at the time was dating Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons, a Kiss, right?
Yep. And so they came down to SIR where we were going to showcase, and that's when Gene, came. He came with Diana Ross, and it looked like it was going to go. At the same time I was doing that, they didn't know I had heard about the band 707, and they were looking for a keyboard player. Actually, I got to roll back. I had heard about 707 about half a year before that, and I went to see them. I thought, it's a good band. I like the band. It's not as heavy as I want to be, but it's a good band. And I found out they were looking for a keyboard player, a guitar player that could write songs. So I finally got in touch with their management, and they had just hired somebody else. And so they went on a short tour, and that's when I ended up doing the showcasing with Mickey Free and his band. So then we're working up the rehearsals for the showcase, and then in 707 had called me and said, look, we let the other guy go. We'd like to have you audition. So I had to audition for 707 twice, because the first time I auditioned for them, I was a little bit too Hollywood. They didn't like that.
What does that mean?
Well, I had the leg warmers, the tight pants, and the big boots, and the big hair. I was all glam, not glam, but I was, the mustache had come off by now, so I was way cool.
Damn mustache.
Stupid caterpillar. Get rid of that thing. Butterfly.
Frankie Bonelli was right.
He was right. He had a reason to hate me. So the thing was, then I toned it down a little bit. I kind of dressed like them a little bit, and they liked the way, what I had to bring and play. And so the second audition went really well. And then I met up with the lead guitar player, Kevin Russell, at his house after that, so I could show him the songs that I write. And after he heard the fact that I could write songs, then he said, okay, this is going to work. This is going to work. So I was in. So I had to do the showcase because I'd committed to it. So I did the showcase with the Mickey Free band with Gene Simmons and Diana Ross. And Gene was real cool. He noticed me up there singing all the high parts and playing away, and the double keyboards or what I don't know, 6 keyboards up there. And he introduced himself and like, I don't know who you are. And he said, you're doing a real good job. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And blah, blah, blah. So shortly after that, I told Mickey Free, you got to find somebody else. I'm out. I'm not doing this. I've got to get with 707. So that happened there. Years later, Gene remembered that. He remembered me.
It's so funny because the thing it's funny you say, because I'm thinking in my head, like, here's the cheap, there's John Brandt and Pete Comita, there's Gene Simmons, and both these, both the Kiss and Cheap Trick connection both come into your life years later. It's kind of funny. And Gene did remember this.
And it's so wild. I get lumped in with this genre and this style. And while I appreciate a lot of Kiss stuff, and I'm a fan of Cheap Trick, this is the stuff I didn't want to play.
Exactly.
I want to play some other entirely, Van Halen, Jeff Beck, Jan Hammer, Aerosmith, Rick Derringer, Humble Pie. I want some heavy shit, But and people don't know that about me. So I got a kick out of them when they said, "Oh, Tod Howarth is too light." I'm like, "Too light? God, you don't know anything about me." But anyhow, that's that part.
So 707. So you put out. You're on the Megaforce album. Put out the Megaforce album.
Yeah, we went out on tour on support of their second record, which was titled very cleverly the second album.
Second record, yes, I agree. And
it was, some stuff on there was okay, and then it didn't really go anywhere. We actually went on tour with REO Speedwagon and the High Infidelity tour.
How was that? What was that?
It was the biggest tour I've ever done. I mean, the smallest venue was 8,000. The biggest was 50,000 people.
And this is REO at the. This is them at their height.
They were huge. And so that's how that transpired. It's like just wow, I'm on my way. This is fantastic, So we all moved up to San Francisco.
Yay, that's from that. Yay.
Yeah, and I love San Francisco. I couldn't wait to get the hell out of LA. But we move up there, and we don't really quite have places yet, so we're kind of living here and there and friends, and primarily in a record plant studio, the now defunct record plant. Living not in the studio, but they had, I guess, a condo or something like that. We were living in their guest house.
Why did you have to move up? Why did you move up here?
Well, because that's where our managers were, and that's where the manager's secret business was that I had no privy to. The secret business was the reason why we got along these big tours. Speculation, I don't know if speculation is the truth, but I think they were delving into stuff that was supplying other projects with things that were needed at that time.
Wink, 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 wink. Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that. So I thought we were good band, but no.
Yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
It was a good band. It was a very good band, but
yeah, 707 is great. Yeah,
that was a speculation. So we move up there and we record an album called The Bridge with John Stronach, who helped co-produce and work with Joe Walsh on some of his great stuff. I thought, all right, this is gonna be great. Well, we got let's see, how the hell was. What label was it? Not Boardwalk yet. It was
Casablanca or
Casablanca, with Neil Bogart.
So this is the end of this, but this is like towards the end of Casablanca.
Oh yeah, very much so. And then Neil Bogart died.
Right, because he died 81, 82.
Yep.
So this is
81. And it put us right on the shelf. They didn't know what to do with it, so they shelved the record. So we probably did. The managers helped us. We got another singer. We let go of our bass player at the time, Phil Bryant. Great singer, the one that sang "I Could Be Good for You." That's his voice.
Oh yeah, right. Their big hit, yeah.
Yeah, let him go for some obscure reason, and we got Felix Robinson, bass player from Angel, in there. And
which was a Casablanca band, right?
And then we also managed to hire another real lead singer, Kevin Chalfant from Streator, Illinois, and great singer. A good guy at that point. There was some friction about hiring him, but it turned into a 5-piece band.
Well, actually, later on, he would play Steve Perry and Journey too.
Well, he wanted to. And he could have, but things I'm not sure of all the dynamics that took place, but there was some things that happened that...
so it didn't happen. Gotcha.
Well, it put him in there close to it, and then all of a sudden it didn't happen, or I'm not sure what happened. he's a great singer, and he really sounds a lot like Steve Perry on tape. It's just amazing. And it could have worked out well, but I'm really not privy to all the ins and outs. I mean, I know some things that took place, but I'm not going to bash anything.
No, of course not.
So, God, it was all this tumultuous things taking place, and then it's strange. A power shift happened in the band. They wanted to fire me. We put out Megaforce. Yeah, we put out Megaforce. We did some tours, some shows, and the band started to kind of fall apart because there was no momentum behind it. So they said, maybe we should get rid of Todd and get somebody else, or just let us do the 4-piece, do our writing. Well, they did that. And
Megaforce was the most successful album they had, correct?
No, the first one was.
The first one was, okay.
First one, well, that could be good for you, because that was I think, close to a top 10 or 20 hit.
LP, not single, LP.
Yeah. I'm not, as far as LP, I'm not sure. That has to be looked up. But anyhow, they let me go, and I was like, what? Okay, well, I'll go do my own thing or whatever. I thought. And then after a couple of weeks, they called me. I hadn't even left San Francisco yet, and they said, maybe we made a mistake. We might have to have you come back in and do some stuff. So, writing and all that kind of thing. So I got back in there, and then there was a strange little power shift. There was friction between a couple members, primarily me and Kevin Shelfont, the new lead singer. And I think that was actually before recording Megaforce. They hired me. They got me back in to do Megaforce, I believe. I don't know. It's kind of blurry at this point.
Yeah, it's blurry. It just seems like just a big mess.
Oh, there is. It was huge. But in short, we kept trying to do it, and we ended up using Ted Nugent's management along with Ted to help us along, because our other management had kind of fallen through and wasn't working. Right. In the meantime, I sang backups on one of Ted's records, the Penetrator record in late '83.
I was going to ask you how you got that. Is that how you were able to sing backup vocals for the Penetrator album, Ted Nugent's album?
Yeah. Kevin Russell and I both sang backgrounds because we were there. He recorded in the record plant there. And then shortly, late '83, 707 was defunct, and I moved back down to San Diego.
Now what?
And I decided, this I'm going to need something to fall back on if I'm going to keep doing this music stuff. So I went back into junior college to start doing some credits to study what I could and figure out a field where I could continue to do my music, because it was obvious at this point, music wasn't going to help me out too much. Yeah. So I'm doing that, and all of a sudden I get a call from Ted Nugent's manager and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Can you come out?" And he didn't really ask about audition. Just come out and do the, run through some things, see if it'll work, and do the tour for '84. And I said, "Well, yeah, I can." So I flew out there, and Ann Arbor, Michigan. And what they didn't do, they didn't send me a record. So I land, and I get there, and I get all my clothes ready to go, and go through stuff. So I said, "What are we going to learn?" I said, "Well, didn't you get the record?" "No, I didn't. Nobody sent it to me." They go, "Oh, man." And I mean record. That's what it was, a record. So I was staying at Ted Nugent's house, and guest bedroom. He says, "Okay, well, this is what we're going to do." And he didn't really flinch. He said, "Okay, this song you should play some guitar. This one you should do keyboards, and just do what's obvious to you. And we'll see you in the morning." So I spent all night. I spent all night like a teenage kid on the floor with this little turntable, listening to the record, going
the Penetrator album.
The Penetrator album, and trying to figure out
what you had sang on.
Yeah. I mean, I had a loose idea of what was on there, and so I'm trying to program my old keyboard, an old, what was it, a Korg, or I don't remember what it was. Usually program, you had to move the knobs around to match the sound, so I had to move all these knobs around and take notes of what sound I was going to use for this patch and that patch, and then what guitar parts to play, and then try to sing, and then I was going to sing this part, and obviously, so that's all I did. I didn't really sleep that night because I was working so much. And the next morning we got up on stage, or I think about noontime we got on stage after I took maybe a couple hours, and hacked through it and Ted goes, yeah, I think this will work. Just keep on it. So I did. I just kept working on shit. And it was funny throughout the whole tour. Ted kept saying, "What are you playing this song?" I said, "Well, this keyboard part here." Yeah, let's move that over guitar. You play a little less keyboards, and it gets more guitar move out front. So by the end of the tour, I was playing mostly guitar, and some keyboard stuff.
Oh, so you did the Penetrator tour?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Oh, that's cool. I wasn't aware of that. I thought you just did the vocals on the album.
No, I did the tour.
Cool.
It was Brian Howe from Bad Company was singing lead. And Mark Bowles from, he's got his own thing going now. He's playing bass, and he was a backup lead singer, great singer.
Wow. And who was the opening act for a lot of that tour?
Oh, God, I wouldn't remember. We played with Iron Maiden. Actually, I played with Iron Maiden in Judas Priest. We played with Judas Priest. With Nugent, we played with a lot of bands. I'd have to go down and listen.
Yeah, it was just a lot. But here you are. So you basically so from 707, here you are playing in front of all these audiences with REO Speedwagon, all these other bands you're opening up for, and then you go back to junior college, then you come back to Ted Nugent, you're playing with all these bands. Then at the end of the tour, what goes on? Does Nugent say?
The tour. Ted says, okay, thanks everybody, that's great, and Ted was real efficient and cost conscious.
Nice guy? Nice guy.
Oh yeah, real nice guy. I mean, he wasn't doing, I wasn't, thinking politically at that time at all, and he wasn't jammering on about that either. I mean, he was patriotic, but he wasn't overly, it just, the guy had so much energy, he'd never shut the hell up, he's driving, and, in tours, driving the bus in Europe and just jammer on all night. I just looked at him like, my God, really? But and then that little side thing, he figured out I could drive, and so we were both, the crazy drivers on the tour, and that was hilarious. But
oh my God.
So anyhow, he was going to call me or call everybody to do the next, stint. But Ted's a smart man. He knows that the next band that he's going to have is going to be somebody that's newer, younger, fresher, and cheaper. So that's what happened. And never went to play them again. So I ended up working for my uncle who owned a gas station. And that's moving furniture. And because at that point I was about to be a father.
With your son? With your son?
I just turned 32 yesterday.
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Yes, thank you. Anyhow, I'm doing this. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to get back in the swing of this music thing, which is treating me so very well. And it's going, and we're into early part of '85, and I'm going, Jesus, this is not good,
You go from so much high to so much low.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's low to have to work for your uncle, but you know what I mean. For a musician standpoint, it's like, wow.
I got the humility sledgehammer very quickly at a very early age, and the realistic thing. So I've never, when people say you're a rock star, no, I'm not. I'm just a guy that plays the thing, and I've worked very hard for it, and I know some people, and I've done some stuff. But rock star, no, Mick Jagger's a rock star, Paul McCartney's thing, that kind of thing. I mean, so I never really made that correlation. I'm a rock personality, but that never went to my head because I knew just around the corner was, somebody. Saying, hey, he wants a job where you can say, he wants some fries with that. But an honest day's work is there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I still do that to this day. I mean, when I get down here, I've got to go do some stuff that I've been working on down at the business real estate that constitutes, ladders and hammers and nails and screws. And
you've always been honest, open and honest. Like, this is what I got to do. Yeah.
It is because, it's I have a lot of toys. I've got a lot of responsibilities, and I've got to pay for them. So, I just turned 59, and it's something that, I'll just keep doing until I fall down. But anyhow, I was at the station, and, I was at the station, and I got a call from Cheap Trick's managers.
So this is the first time. This is the first time you get the call from Cheap Trick.
Well, they had wanted me to come play with them before, and I didn't know about it, but I was playing with 707. And then 707, and then Ted Nugent, and my name had been floated around about
John Brandt. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think John Brandt?
Yeah. John Brandt, I think even Pete Comita and George Tutto, who was their engineer-producer. He did a lot of work with, I think he did stuff with Rod Stewart, if I'm not mistaken. So they, my name was floating around, and so they did call me. Now, Cheap Trick's a great band.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went out to audition, and I went into this little dank like one of those rental garages or storage units to rehearse. And here they all are. I'm like, it isn't nothing like what I thought it would be, but it doesn't matter because it's just rehearsal. So,
is this in Illinois or?
Yeah,
is this,
I flew out to Illinois, to Rockford.
Rockford, of course,
where they all lived at the time, and went over some stuff. And then they said, "Hey, sing lead on this song." So I sang lead on it. So I used to do this song, and I sang lead, and they got a big kick out of it. But they weren't overly impressed, which is not surprising because they're very good musicians and they're cynical in their own ways. But it just was like whatever, Okay. Well, the manager knew that I could hit all these high notes, which I did there, and I could do all the harmonies and play these, keyboard and Dream Police and all this kind of stuff, which is kind of
Surrender during the chorus.
Yeah, that's pretty simple stuff. But anyhow, so the manager believed in me, and there's many more parts of the story, but I ended up doing a second audition when they played in Irvine, kind of like. And really not for them, but for the manager by the soundboard, singing my ass off. It goes, there's no reason why you should not be in this or playing with the project. So he insisted, so you've got to let Todd play with you. This is a matchup that's going to work out just fine, and plus the cost is right because they get me cheaper. So, and they had a keyboard player that was a great musician, a guy named Phil Christensen. They called him Magic. Great singer, great player. But for some reason, I guess things weren't happening, and they wouldn't let him go. And so they said, okay, you can play this. Here's the songs we're doing. Here's the set list. You go over this, for whatever, a week or 2 weeks, whatever the duration time was, and you will just fly in the show, and you'll just jump into a show. And
this is the Standing on the Edge tour? Is that
it could have been just after The Flame. No, I take that back. That was...
No, that was 88,
88.
yeah.
I think
was it The Doctor or Standing on the Edge?
No, I did The Doctor with him, so it was before The Doctor. It had to be...
Standing on the Edge.
It could have been Standing on the Edge, because, there's some cool songs that I really liked. So, I learned the tunes, and I learned them again, and I was staying with my little family time, my first wife, my young son at Arabian Show Horse Ranch that was pretty much not abandoned but up for sale. And I practiced in the cold in one of the car garages out front with my keyboards and a record player and a tape machine, and I practiced that over and over. I did the vocals and the parts, and I got it down to where I thought, well, it's best it's going to get, and I flew out, watched one or two shows, and then they sent Phil home, and I jumped into a show, and I just played live. And they then after that, Rick comes up and of course he's all animated and adrenaline. He goes, "Geez, why didn't you play and sing like that at the audition?" I said, "Well, I did.
And by this time, though, they were openers, though, right? They were opening.
I don't remember who we were playing with. We could have been doing co-headline, because that was pretty much something that was done a lot, co-headlining, or, you guys open this and we'll open that. And
yeah, exactly. Right, yeah.
But it was a good crowd.
I can't remember either.
It was a big crowd.
Of course. Wow. So here you are, you're on the high again, you're playing with a band that you actually really, really like, Cheap Trick, which is a great band.
Yeah, it's a fantastic band.
I can't remember, on The Doctor, did they actually ask you to play, because that album is very heavily, there's a lot of keyboards on that album. Did you play on that album?
Well, I was moving on to, I stayed in Rockford, Illinois, and I did a lot of pre-production with him, and I went in the studio and dicked around with some stuff, and that's my youngest daughter was born, 1986.
Oh,
I
cool.
was there in the studio when she was born. I wasn't here in San Diego. So I did a lot of stuff. They never had me play on the album. I'm not really sure why. Who knows?
Who knows, yeah.
But I did a lot of pre-production, and I did one song. Rob and I spent a lot of time in his basement working on some stuff, and I did one song that Robin had written, and I worked it up kind of like, well, this is how I'd do it. And I can't remember the name of it. I have to look on it. I've got the album somewhere. But they recorded exactly the way I did it in the demo. I was like, oh, well, I know this production. But I also written It's Over Now in Rick Nielsen's parents' condo where I was staying. And I presented it to him. Said, look, I got the song. It's called It's Over Now. Would you guys be interested in doing it?
It's great. I love that song.
And the management, thank you. The management said, oh, this is a great song. You got to do this. And I gave it to them, and they went, oh, yeah, a little long. Yeah, we'll get a pass. And they passed. So, and the manager, they passed. I said, because he talked to me personally, he said, did they pass? They like songs? I said, no, they passed on it. He's like, damn. I'm thinking, yeah, damn is right, And that was the year I was there watching the Challenger go up in flames when they the space shuttle. Yeah, it was
awful.
I was in the middle of writing that song when that happened. So
January 86,
yeah.
Wow.
And so that took place exactly January 6th. My daughter was born January 29th. So I ended up playing with them into 86, and that's when I met John Regan when we were doing a co-headline. He was playing bass for John Waite, and I was playing for Cheap Trick. That's how I met John Regan.
Great guy, and a great friend of the show. And so of course this leads into the H. Frehley part. Now, how did that all come up? I know you've answered this question all the time.
Well,
of course, this is Bob's Radio Cafeteria.
Of course, Bob's important, and we're listening to Bob only right now, so that's what we're going to do.
That's right. Thank you, Todd.
Bob's Cafe.
We love having you on the show.
Well, I appreciate you getting in touch with me, and I've never talked to you on the phone, but you've got a great flow, a great cadence, so it's a pleasure. It really is.
Thank you.
What happened is I used to, because I love bass and drums. I mean, every chance I get, I'm on Rob's drums or whomever's drums I get hold of and beat the shit out, Of course,
is Rob and John constantly hitting your, get off my bass?
No, they don't. Rob told me just the last rehearsal was, yeah, everybody's a fucking drummer. I said, yes, but I'm a Barney Rubble drummer, and I will beat the living crap out of your drums. And John loves my bass playing because I'm very aggressive, and I said, well, I like playing the bass the way I do because I'm trying to emulate the way you sounded to me when I first started hearing you. So what happened? We were, and we were doing sound checks, and I would go out and listen.
This is the Cheap Trick John Waite.
And John Waite. And I'd go out front and I'd listen to John Waite's band, which is John Regan, Arthur Stead on keyboards, Frankie LaRock on drums, and I forget the guitar player, great guitar player.
Oh, was it not Earl Slick? It was
no, redheaded guy,
whatever. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I feel disrespectful not remember his name, but I'm shit with names. But and they just sounded huge because Frankie LaRocca just puts it in the pocket, and I like pocket music. I like Zeppelin, Bad Company. I mean, I like that. I don't like on top of the beat bands just because it drives me nuts. But John's bass sound was just ripping, and so I just walked up after a sound check. I walked up and said, "Man, you guys sound so huge and fat. That is just stellar." I said, "I'm Tod Howarth. I play keyboards for Cheap Trick." He goes, "Yeah, I know who you are." He says, "Great, nice to meet you." He goes, "You're doing a lot of singing up there, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, I sing all the high parts and double with Robin when needed." And I said, I'm also, guitar player, songwriter, lead singer, obviously. And he said, it's really interesting. So I got a project I'm working on. I'll have to get in touch with you. Give me your information before the tour ends. So I did. And I think it was maybe a little less than half a year later, he calls me and says, this is the project. I didn't want to tell you who it was because, I didn't know where it was going, blah, blah, blah. But it was Frehley's Comet, and that's when I went out in touring with Cheap Trick. I flew out to New York to audition with them before flying to the next city to join Cheap Trick. And I laid out the candy, playing and showing them some of my songs and stuff. And Ace was like, yeah, he's okay. Not impressed. I did, So
there goes that thing again. It's like, Jesus.
I'm not that kind of. I'm not a Richie Scarlett lead player type guy. I can play leads and I can rip, but I don't.
Yeah,
care.
totally.
I don't want. I don't care. I don't have to play lead. I'm more West Coast Eddie Van Halen, Blue Murder type feel. Even though I don't play that well.
Oh, nice reference. I like that. Blue Murder.
Yeah,
I got it.
The Blue Murder smoke as shit. Sykes is amazing, but I like that fat feel.
Underrated guitar player. Very underrated.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. But so. Everybody said, well, and Eddie Trunk was there too, because Eddie was, helping out with Megaforce Records. So everybody said, no, this is the guy really, he can write songs, he can this and that. So I came back for a second one, and they said, well, I guess so. Yeah, we'll see how it works out. So I quit Cheap Trick in December of '86 and flew into the studio to finish up the record, which was the first Comet album they had already started in January '87. That's how I got into Frehley's Comet.
So now wait a minute. So when you went in, they were already doing the record. They were already there.
Yeah, they had some tracks going. They had recorded some stuff, and what they didn't record, of course, I recorded as Something Moved was one of the songs.
Of course.
And
Calling on You.
They said Calling to You went, I think, the second. Was it on the first one? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's on the first one. Yeah.
Let me break out my
Megaforce.
Like I happen to have all these songs easily here. I don't have. Oh, yes, I do. That's what I had here. Rock Soldiers Breakout. And they also want me to sing Breakout. I said, this guy could probably smoke on this.
He sings fantastic.
Yeah. So,
but my question is,
go ahead.
My question to you real fast was, when you tried out, was it John, Ace, and Anton?
Yes, it was.
I
believe.
Okay.
I think it was Anton at SI, or what was it? It wasn't SI. It was another studio. God, I don't remember. You have to ask John.
I don't remember. Okay.
Had to be Anton because it was,
Yeah.
Because he was doing the record. Yeah, it had to be him. Yeah.
It was Anton. Okay. So they already had some songs laid down, but then did Ace come to you or John say, hey, do you have any songs?
Yeah. That's how Calling to You came on there, because I think they'd have, maybe half the tracks recorded, and they needed some, and of course they were going to do Something Moved because they loved that, the version I said.
It's a great track.
Thank you.
Great track.
It came out really good. A little fast, but it came out good. And then we're going through my catalog of stuff. I was at Ace's condo in New York, and we were upstairs listening to all my stuff, and he heard the 707 tune, Megaforce, and he loved it. He liked the idea of it, but he was also enthralled with the idea that it was called Megaforce. And, so
and you're on Megaforce label.
Yeah. So that's how that song got on there, which is such a convoluted direction as far as I didn't want to do it. I said, hey, can we do something else? Because there's a plethora of songwriters on this song. Even though I wrote the basis of it and the drummer wrote the lyrics, there's two other writers, including Jonathan Cain from Journey, who really didn't write the song. He did the intro and the song, and we got tricked into putting it on the record. So now he's a songwriter. We go, wait, he didn't write the song. He wrote the intro.
Oh, so he does Jonathan, the synthesizer beginning of Megaforce. That's Jonathan Cain.
That was already set up. We get to Keith Olsen's studio in North Hollywood to do this track, and it's already set up, the keyboard there, and the sequencer's going, and they're all smiling, and now I know why they're smiling, because they're going to get a piece of the song that, we had written, and so...
Did he play it, or did somebody else play it?
No, he played it, but he played it on that, you can do a sequence, he played it, and did the sequential thing to it, and that was the intro, which was...
Right.
Suiting for this wonderful movie. God, it was the world's worst movie ever.
Yeah, right. Was it Chuck Norris or what was it?
No, it was Carla Kumbano, who's passed away, and the guy from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Tim Burton.
Boswell. What the hell? Boswell?
Oh, God.
Bosworth. God, they do with his eyes too close to each other.
That guy. You know that guy, yeah.
Barry Bostwick. That's his name.
Barry Bostwick, yes. Barry Bostwick, yes.
Yeah.
He gets a prize. Here it is.
Yeah, it was. We were sitting in San Francisco in the city watching this movie play with our song chopped and thrown into the movie. We're going, what kind of crap is this? But getting back to Ace wanting to do the song, so
yeah.
I said, okay, I'll just have to get a hold of all the guys, and cut them in on this as well. So, but Ace wanted to change it, which added another writer, and so he used all the same lyrics except for the chorus, which Ace wanted to change to strike the stand up shout. It's only rock and roll.
Oh, so it was him. It was Ace because you were on Megaforce. He's like, no, we can't have a song called Megaforce. But you didn't want it anyways. But
yeah, I didn't want to do a period. But he wanted to do it. This was kind of the modus operandi of Ace, which is fine. I mean, it's business.
Yeah.
But he wanted to add his idea to the song, his lyrics, and and not call Megaforce. And I said, well, okay, well, I'm low man on the totem pole, and it's Ace's project. It wasn't mine. So
yeah,
we did it.
To be fair, I like both versions. To be quite, and I'm not playing. I like both versions.
Yeah, they're. I mean, Kevin Stelfont sang the original, and he's such a great singer. I mean, aside from the rough patches we had, and we were friends now, but aside from the rough patches, I mean, he's a phenomenal singer. He did a great job with it. And it was my melody that I gave to him. Of course, he polished it. So when I sang it, well, I'm just going to sing the melody that I remember writing. So it wasn't. There wasn't really a debate about me stealing his licks because, as a lead singer, he was a better lead singer than I was. So I'm still developing my lead singing style, which I sing so much differently now than I sang back in 1988. But, both songs have an allure for those that really like to listen to both. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
I wanted to ask you a question, a musician question.
What's that, Bob?
Well, Todd, let me tell you. With Kiss, they always tune down. But with Frehley's Comet, you guys had standard tuning. Was that ever discussed, or was that just you came in? Because I was curious about that.
Well, live we tune half step down.
You did. Okay.
The first record was recorded A440.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then Ace said, he wanted to tune down because he was singing half the leads, and it was easier on his voice. At that time, I said, I don't care. I mean, I liked it because it was a little heavier, but I didn't care because my range was young and fresh, and I could still belt out, good 3 octaves. I could still do it, but I have to really work on it because, I'm 59 years old, and your voice changes a little bit. I can still get up there, but we tuned down live for a half step. I think what's 8.430 or 8.433. So that's how they did. Now I don't. On the second album, I think we tuned back up 8.440 again because It's Over Now is on there, and that's
such a great song.
Thank you.
Thank you. I said this to you once on a message in Facebook, and I know you probably heard this 1,000 times. Luckily, it was put out as a single. Why that, I think probably you'll tell me now, but the record company or whatever, why that was not a hit, I will never ever understand.
I
will never understand.
From a business prospect, it was very devastating to me because I thought, oh my God, this song has all the ability to be a power ballad of the 80s. A lot of people that came and listened to it going, holy shit, you guys are going to do real well with this. What had happened was the first album was so widely received and celebrated because it was Ace's first band, solo band, and he picked some choice guys to play with. I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back, but Anthony and John, and it came across pretty damn good. So they're expecting something for the second record. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here comes this new guy. Todd is writing half the songs, and they're going, why isn't Ace writing all the songs? Well, because Ace didn't, and I was prepared. I had stuff ready to go. So that set up that animosity. But then the record label said, well, we're going to release some singles off this and put some money behind it. Insane was, I think that was the first single. And then
it wasn't. I
mean, and then Into the Into the Night was the first one, I think.
Which is a good song, yeah.
But
that wasn't written by him. Yeah.
No, Russ Ballard, I think, wrote that. Or maybe I'm wrong. But by the time they got around to releasing on Second Sighting, they released It's Over Now. They put no money behind it, and they didn't get it out there. And it wasn't, I think that they said, well, this is not Ace singing. As a matter of fact, Ace didn't play a stitch on the song at all. It was primarily a free piece. It was just me, John, and Jamie Aldaker.
Jimmy from the Eric Clapton band, right?
Yeah, Eric Clapton band, right. I mean, I played everything on that the track, keyboards.
It's a fantastic song. I encourage all listeners, if you haven't heard the song, to go out and listen to the song. It's just fantastic.
Thank you. I mean, John helped produce it, back then. He had some ideas, and he really polished the song up. Jamie did a great job of laying the pocket. Man, what a pocket.
Oh, it's a great pocket.
We did the song, and I did all the rhythm parts, and I did all the stuff, and then Ace was not there in the studio. I said, well, I've got a lead idea. I worked on it. Let me just lay it down. If Ace doesn't like it, it's his band. He can do whatever he wants I wanted it to be the best it can be, and I've always given Ace his credit. He comes in, and he listens to it, and we're all, this is after it's all recorded. Not mixed, but here's a rough mix of it up, and he listens to it. He's sitting there at the console, and he spins around after the song. He looks at it and goes, well, what's wrong with it? And we go, well, nothing. We just, Todd put the lead on it. If you want to do some rhythm parts, you have some ideas. And Ace, to his credit, says, no, it sounds great. Leave it as it is. Next.
That's awesome.
So that was for me, it was a heart swell moment for me because I finally got to do something that I knew I could do, and Ace was gracious enough to let me do that, and I'm forever grateful.
It's perfect. The one thing I remember about that video, it's like the one thing I think is like him playing a Les Paul with a whammy bar on it. I've never seen that in my life. I just remember seeing that, and it's like, what a strange.
Yeah, he did that. He did that, and actually that guitar sounded pretty damn good because that guitar is the one I cut Something Move with.
Wow.
Yeah. Nobody knows that. I didn't have my Steinbergers for Something Move. I got my Steinberg, my Big Red, which is now worn out. I got that when we recorded the Second Sighting.
The Second Sighting. I was going to just go back to your first album. I just want to ask you one more time about Calling on You. Did you get any feedback from 707 fans or band members or 707 band members when that came out? Did they say anything?
No, there really wasn't. All I remembered is they were happy they're getting some money, or whatever.
Gotcha.
When it came to it, there was no flack about it really because. To be quite honest, I did not talk to anybody about it. I was not thrilled with Kevin Russell at that time. There's the backstory is huge. I wasn't thrilled with. I didn't have to speak to Kevin Chalfant, the other lead singer, because he didn't write it. And then it was through lawyers or publishing companies for John McCain, and then Jim McClarty, the drummer who wrote the lyrics for the Megaforce. I spoke with him, and he was all for it. And that's primarily where it went. As long as everybody agreed to do it, fine, we'll just do it. But I never got any feedback other than, cool, great. I hope we make some money off it. That was about it.
Oh, got it. I want to ask you too about you sang on the Loudness album, Hurricane Eyes. Was that before Frehley's comment, or was that after? Or was that just right in the beginning of Frehley's comment?
That was during Frehley's comment because Eddie Kramer was producing that, I believe. And
wow. What was it like working with him?
Good. He's a great guy. He's got some good ideas, got some good ears. I did not know exactly of his resume when I was working with him because I was never starstruck about anything or anybody at any given time. I just didn't give a fuck. And
you were just like, it's work, let me work.
Yeah, it's
I
work.
want to play music.
I I appreciated and respected things, and I knew that he had quite the resume, but it's just a dude that has some talent and does, and that's not taking away anything from anybody like Ace or Eddie or John or anybody or Rob, Fuso. It's just a bit. It's a business, and I love playing. My importance lies into what I can get to the fans so they can enjoy it. So working with Eddie was, and I thank you, and I appreciate that more than people probably realize. But working with Eddie was, I learned some stuff, but my retention for some of that stuff, it never went translated into the studio usually. I do remember a lot of stuff, but I was always like songwriting. You write a song. Where's the melody go? Where's the bass line? Where's the heavy part? Where's this? Where's that? So that's all I fixated on was my developing my songwriting. Getting back to what the hell was the base of this question?
I was just saying, how did that come about? Like, that's so random, the Loudness, a Japanese metal band. Like, how did that come about?
Well, I was actually hired to write some lyrics and kind of smooth out the melody for two or three of their songs.
Oh, wow.
And they were doing it in L.A., so I went up there and I worked with, I forget his name now, to straighten out some melodies and get some English words in their pronunciation of it. And
oh, wow.
And then I did sing a little bit on the background, I believe, but I was a ghostwriter.
Gotcha. Okay, so to Frehley's comment, you do the second album, Second Sighting. That chapter of your life comes to a close. Now you go back to Cheap Trick. You get back with Cheap Trick, correct?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I left Frehley's comment in late '88, because it was told to me that for the next record, Ace was going to write and sing everything because it would probably just be better. And I said, okay, well, that leaves virtually nothing for me because, besides
you're a writer.
I'm a writer. That's not how I make my living, so I got to take a gamble and get out my own. And I launched out and did a couple of bands, one back in New Jersey, great players. That kind of fizzled out. Came back here and formed a couple bands in San Diego, got signed to Gene Simmons' record label.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So
and then we almost got into recording, and then grunge came back and kicked our ass. And we were.
What was the name of that band?
It was called Hardware.
Oh, I think that sounds familiar.
Have
Hardware.
some pictures out. He was a big hair band. A great guy.
That's probably what it was.
Phenomenal players. Great guys, and good. We had a good band, but Nirvana was coming in just cleaning house.
Just said goodbye. That's it.
Yeah, that's hair. Bye. Don't take a bath for a year. Give me a call and let your hair mat up.
Yeah.
So, but I loved all that stuff. And I thought, oh, this is going to kill me. So I ended up. Oddly enough, getting back in contact with Cheap Trick, and they said, well, come back out and do this with us. So I went back out with them in, I think, 91 to 96.
91, yeah. I saw you a bunch of times during that time with them. You were fantastic.
Thank you.
And you also put out a bunch of solo albums too. I didn't want to do this interview without talking about your solo albums. You've put out 4, correct?
5, actually.
5. Wow.
Yeah. I had. I did the first one was I was doing.
Silhouette.
I was playing with Cheap Trick. No, it was Silhouette. I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah.
And I didn't have a drum set.
Doesn't even know his own solo album.
Well, I actually coughed. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh.
But no, sometimes I don't know. You're right about that. But I didn't have a drum set to do that, and so I had to program every song on my keyboard, which took on average anywhere from 35 to 40 hours to make it sound right to me. It's just painstaking.
Wow.
There's only 9 songs on there. So that's all programmed keyboard drums by me. The production's horrible. It was, not a very good quality sound. But I did that one with Silhouette. Then I did
Cobalt Parlor.
Cobalt Parlor. That's my favorite because I really took a lot of time to do it. And I played real drums, and I had to brush up for months before I could even begin the track. And then after Cobalt Parlor, I did I did kind of like a band project called
West of 8.
West of 8. I had a drummer, Dave Lapidus, did the drums, phenomenal guy and drummer, and I had another guitar player, colleague, guitar player came in, Jamie Eaton. He did some stuff, and then I had a bass player, but I had to let him go because of some problems, so I had to recut all the bass myself.
That's a great thing about you is that you're a jack of all trades, you know.
It's convenient actually in scheduling. It really is. I like to have a band feel because nothing beats a good band feel. But I knew what I had to do, but I got that done, and then I also did an easy listening CD just by myself called Winter. And I have one drummer on there. He played along with the click track on a song called Your Face, and the drummer is named Bob Sale, and he's from my cover band here in San Diego, which is called Cocoa Blue, and he still is a phenomenal drummer. He's the one that did Cold Beach drums.
Oh, wow.
He did that. And so we're still in touch. I got some other plans here in the future for
Which is a YouTube. There's a YouTube video for that, by the way.
Yeah, YouTube. It features my sand rail out in the glamorous sand dunes.
Yes.
I did everything on there except for the drums, of course. And the fast lead was done by a friend of mine, the guitar player from Hardware, Jeffrey Marshall. He did the real fast.
He's all full circle. And that's from the Opposite Gods album.
Actually, no, it never was on an album.
Oh, was it just a
Cold Beach was just a single. So after Winter, then I did Winter, West of 8, Winter.
Opposite Gods.
And then Opposite Gods, which I did
myself.
And
Cold Beach.
And Cold Beach.
Single. Yes.
And that was it. So I've got, was it 5? I'm looking at it.
5. That's it. Yeah. Actually, I was thinking 4. And then, of course, 4 by Fate. You got the 4 by Fate. Right. Which you are working on the second one, which is really awesome.
We've got some songs. I've got some ideas. Pat has already got songs recorded and demoed up. He's a prolific songwriter. He spends all the time writing songs and doing his work. The guy is one workhorse, and he's doing other projects for some great upcoming singers that are working out of upstate New York as well. And actually New York City, Rachel Lauren, she's a phenomenal singer and a great-looking gal and very smart, real sweetheart. But he's got songs that are done, and I've got songs that are halfway done, some in my mind, a lot on my phone, oddly enough, because of a lot of things I'm taking, the things I work on here at our business real estate has taken a lot of my time.
And I did not want to end this interview without talking about Stand Down, something that you perform, charity events. If you want to talk about that a little bit, about Stand Down.
In the past, I've done 3 Stand Down events. I love doing them. I did learn something about doing them. I did 2 here in San Diego, one in Arizona, and the songs I picked to play, they were my songs. I didn't play anything that they would know. It was appreciated, it was liked, but I think it's more uplifting for them to hear songs that they do know, and maybe slip in a couple occasional well-known or original tunes. And I really love doing that, and this is something that 4 by Fate is going to work on. We want to do some military stuff because we are playing some songs that they would know, and we could also introduce some of our tunes and have more energy to it. When I did it, I had a friend of mine, Randy Walker, played drums on one time. It was just a 2-piece. I played some acoustic and one of my baritone guitars. And then I did it solo the next 2 times. And it went over fine, but it just needs more positive, uplifted energy for them. So I haven't done any lately because I don't want to bring them down because some of my songs are kind of like ugh. But I will be
learning to go.
Yeah, and I will be doing more here locally. I'm also hoping to get 4 by Fate to do some stuff, but that's a logistic thing where we have to do it when we're actually out on tour all together. We're out on fly-in, fly-out type shows and dates. So, yes, I'm a big proponent of helping veterans any way I can. it's better we can do it through the whole band and en route, because I think it has more effect. It has more effective approach than perhaps me just solo right now.
Right. Well, it's still an honorable thing, and I'm sure the troops and the veterans, they appreciate it either way.
I think they do. I've got a lot of fans of the veterans, and Amber Waves, which is on the new CD, Relentless by 4x8, is very heartfelt, and we're still hoping that it'll grab traction in a patriotic manner for those that will really appreciate it and like it, and we can. We performed it at this last show we just did, and actually I just did it a cappella by myself on the keyboards, and I think it went over very, very well. And you know, we want to do. We can help the veterans. We can help people that need the help however we can, and then also bring some listening enjoyment to people that want to hear the band, and especially to know the track for it. I mean, the record of this band is. Pat is the youngest guy, but he's had some success with his band Pound and Flywheel on the East Coast. But we just have a lot to offer, and we're hoping that we get to the point where we can do that, and that will probably be ramped up starting next year early.
I can't wait. I'm a firm supporter, and now I have two guys from the band that are now part of the Cafeteria, so I'm very proud of that. And I just want to say, wrapping up here, I just want to say, Todd, thank you so much for being part of Bob's Radio Cafeteria. You are a great guy, and I just wanted to share a really quick story about you. I remember back in the early 90s, you were playing with Cheap Trick, and it was after the show. And, you know, you guys are tired after a show, and I remember you were standing out in front of a hotel, and you were talking to some people, and I was just kind of like walking. I went, oh, my God, there's Tod Howarth. And I went up to you, I said, you're Tod Howarth, right? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, hi, my name's Bob, and, you know, I'm a huge fan of Frehley's comment. I thought, you know, I really love It's Over Now, and da-da-da-da. And you put everything aside, and you sat there, and you talked with me for a half an hour. You kept the conversation going. And it's a moment I'll never forget. I'm redundant to say that, but it's something I will cherish forever. Like, wow, that's how a rock star should be. Like, I just want to thank you. Many years later, I just wanted to thank you for that. It was a really cool moment. You're a really awesome dude. So thank you.
Well, Bob, I'm flattered by that. I can't thank you enough for coming up and asking me about it, because you knew of my past career and what I've done. And I've always, unless there's some time restraint or something else going on that's so vitally important, I will always do that. I've always tried to do that because that's just the nature of my character. It's important to you, when you see somebody that you appreciate, admire, or look up to, and bring that to their attention, and they share that smile and respect and some conversation about it that makes them feel so very important, as they should. I mean, they're people too, I've done this on many occasions because I just do that. I've had a lot of people tell me this. They ask me if I remember. Most of the time I do not, which is shitty. But
no, of course not.
When you're busy, banging on tables, drumming it in school, your retention's not too good for remembering certain things. So
of course, you connect so many people, and you can't expect. No, of course not.
I'm so very flattered that you brought the story up, and thank you very much for having me on the show. It is important to me that it gets out to the people who appreciate it and enjoy it, and I'm glad that you shared that fond memory of something that I was a part of to make your day somehow brighter. I mean, I remember when I've talked to a couple people, and they were like my favorite this or that, and I didn't get such a well reception. I was like such a warm reception. I was like, wow, okay. But I didn't think asshole or anything like that. So I guess it's not important enough to talk to,
Yeah.
It's just it's alarming.
Yeah, I know. It's like, whoa, okay. I mean, I'm not expecting you to sit there and
Right.
spend 5 hours with these just to say hi. Yeah. But Todd, thank you so much. And before we end, just again, tell people where they can find you on the web.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Bob, for having me on Bob's Cafe. I really appreciate it. And I know that John Regan enjoys it as well because he likes anything with cafe and food and Italian whatnots and that guy.
Of course.
But I always joke, kid him about that. But as far as me, you can find me on Facebook through Tod Howarth and 4x8. Tod Howarth is different from 4x8 because 4x8 we only discuss fun stuff. Tod Howarth, it's a little more diverse here and there, but we still talk about band stuff there. You can find me on my website, which is still in the construction. That's something I'm way behind on, but that's about it for me. You can also find primarily 4x8 has a website that's being worked on, and you can also find 4x8 on Facebook, and we do have a Twitter account, of which I'm not on a whole bunch, but we do bounce some things off that. Not as much as probably we should, but, we're waiting for things to happen before you start bouncing things off that account. But you can also find Rob Affuso through his account, and Pat and Gasparini and John Regan. We're all there. We're all accessible. Sometimes it takes a while for us to answer because, things come in. It's just like I've got things I've got to attend to the rest of the day that's just going to wipe me out, but that's just the nature of the beast. So we are out there.
I hope you feel better. I hope you feel better. I know you're sick. That's why I appreciate it.
It's just a cold. I got a cold, of course, because I just worked myself to the bone and just getting over that, which is just irritating, but that's because I don't sit down and rest a lot. So.
Well, get some rest, drink some fluids, and again, thank you so much for being on Bob's Radio Cafeteria, Todd.
All right, Bob.
And that's it for Bob's Radio Cafeteria. Again, you can find me Facebook.com/Bob's Radio Cafeteria. Also YouTube/The Clarences. Also on Comfortably Zone Radio Network on iTunes, which is run by Ralph Tycho. Also features my good friend Fred with his show Dirtcast. That does it for Bob's Radio Cafeteria. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.